The skies above Earth cracked with ominous hue, colors no man had names for. In the depths of the stratosphere, reality seemed to pulse as if bracing for something beyond comprehension. At the heart of this atmospheric tension floated a golden figure, motionless, eyes shut, hands clenched. The world had grown uneasy beneath him, but Robert Reynolds, the Sentry, remained suspended, his presence like a quiet apocalypse waiting to breathe. He had returned. After years of absence, his reemergence was not marked with destruction or noise. No cities burned, no armies marched. Instead, the world trembled in silent fear. Satellites detected gravitational distortions around his presence. The air bent in unnatural ways. Birds stopped flying near the coasts. Animals fled inland. No official statement could explain it. Only whispers among gods and cosmic beings knew what this meant. The void was stirring again. Far in Asgard, Heimdall watched in the observatory, his gaze locked onto the golden anomaly orbiting Midgard. He did not blink. He did not speak. When he finally turned, his face was pale beneath divine bronze skin. "He has awakened," he said quietly. Thor stood at the edge of the Bifrost, hammer in hand. The wind coiled around him like a restless serpent, his crimson cape billowing behind him. His eyes, blue like ice over deep waters, narrowed not with fear, but recognition. "The Golden Madman," he muttered. He remembered the last time their paths crossed. A brief confrontation on the fringes of a collapsing star, where Sentry had torn apart the solar core of a dead world just to silence the whispers in his head. Thor had intervened, but even he, the Thunderer, found himself outmatched in raw might. That was centuries ago in mortal time. Now, the stakes were higher. Odin was gone. The 9 realms frayed at the edges. The balance of existence was more fragile than ever, and in such a time, there could be no room for unchecked power. Back on Earth, cities watched the sky. Scientists scrambled to interpret the rising magnetic fields and seismic disturbances. Something was falling, descending slowly like judgment from the heavens. Thor descended through a portal that hissed closed behind him. The skies groaned as thunderclouds spread like ink through water. Lightning danced around his form, not summoned, but summoned to him. He hovered high above the Atlantic, facing the glowing anomaly. Sentry's eyes were open now, golden irises reflecting the lightning without fear. They did not speak. Words were meaningless between them. Each could feel the other's intent through the trembling air. Thor raised Mjolnir. Storm surged. Wind howled. The clouds parted in a violent spiral. Sentry simply watched. And then, like gravity collapsing into a black hole, they collided. Mjolnir struck first. The enchanted hammer roared through the sky and collided with Sentry's chest. The impact sent a tremor across the hemisphere. Waves surged from the ocean below, hammering the shores of 3 continents. But Sentry did not fall. Instead, he raised his hand and halted the storm-charged projectile midair. With a flick of his fingers, Mjolnir spun wildly, tearing through nearby clouds before snapping back to Thor's hand. The God of Thunder surged forward, landing blow after blow. Each strike echoed like drums of war, each charge with the fury of 1,000 tempests. Sentry withstood them all. Then he moved, faster than sight, faster than the sound that should have followed. Sentry drove his fist into Thor's midsection, sending the god hurtling through the atmosphere like a comet. The clouds parted in his wake, and the sea below rose to meet him. But Thor recovered midair, hurling a bolt of pure thunder at the golden titan. The blast illuminated the sky, turning night into temporary day. But Sentry absorbed it. It fed him. Thor descended again, this time with purpose. The hammer sang with runes glowing white-hot. The air itself wept as Thor channeled the Godblast, an attack reserved for foes who threatened existence itself. He struck. The impact warped the surrounding space, tearing clouds apart and splitting the sea below in a circular trench 50 miles wide. The Sentry was engulfed in divine force, a light so blinding it turned satellites blind and carved scars into the ozone. For a moment, silence. Then, out of the brilliant void, Sentry emerged, burning but smiling. Not from joy, but from understanding. He had gauged Thor's strength. Now it was his turn. He unleashed a wave of pure energy, more than light, more than heat. It was existence rewritten mid-burst. Molecular structures in the surrounding air disintegrated. Clouds ceased to exist. Even time seemed to hiccup as the golden pulse washed over Thor. The god staggered, not from pain, but from realization. This was no mere brute force. Sentry's power obeyed no natural laws. He was a man who had become a concept, part hope, part madness, part god, and within him stirred the void. It whispered promises, screamed warnings, but Sentry stood firm, eyes locked on Thor. "You will not stop me this time." His voice echoed, not from his mouth, but from inside Thor's head. The storm god roared in defiance. Lightning wrapped around his entire form like a second skin. His aura expanded, divine power pushing the clouds away for hundreds of miles. What followed was a clash that ruptured the fabric of Earth's upper atmosphere. Every blow shattered the laws of force. Every parry dented the sky. Sonic booms became background noise. The oceans rose and fell like a trembling heart. And still, neither warrior relented. Hours passed like seconds. The sky remained lit by the cataclysmic brilliance of their battle. As if day dared not surrender to night, while gods waged war, Thor bled divine ichor. His breath came heavy. Yet Mjolnir burned brighter than ever. Sentry, though unmarked, began to twitch, his expression slipping. The void, patient and cunning, sensed opportunity. It would not be silenced much longer. And as both champions prepared for the next wave, the air stilled, not from peace, but anticipation. The true battle, one not of fists but souls, was just beginning. Thor's chest rose and fell, his breath slow, heavy. Mjolnir, once an extension of his will, now felt like an anchor. The runes etched on its head flickered, fading between power and exhaustion. Thunderclouds churned around him, loyal but worn. His face was bruised, divine skin cracked at the temple. Across from him hovered Sentry, untouched yet unstable. His glow no longer burned with control. It quivered, distorted, as if some deeper presence stirred within. His eyes, once golden, now swam with flickers of black. The void was no longer whispering. It was breathing. "You don't understand," Sentry said, his voice rippling across dimensions. "I'm not here to conquer. I'm here to free us from limitation, from fate." Thor raised Mjolnir one last time, not out of hope but duty. "You seek to erase the lines the cosmos drew, but some borders must remain." A sigh escaped the Sentry, spoken like a god built on fear. The battle resumed, but this time it wasn't a duel. It was a dismantling. Sentry's speed accelerated beyond recognition. Every movement fractured the air. Thor swung, missed, then caught a blow to the chest that cracked his armor and sent lightning bursting outward like shattered glass. Mjolnir flew from his hand, lost the wind. The hammer landed miles away, embedding deep into a crater. Thor summoned a thunderbolt directly from the heart of Yggdrasil itself. It struck with ancient fury, one that had judged titans and slain monsters. But Sentry absorbed it, then turned the energy back, not as lightning, but as something new, something more terrifying, a beam of sheer uncreation. It tore through Thor's left shoulder, spinning him midair. The god of thunder fell. He crashed through the clouds, through the sky, into the Atlantic like a meteor. The waters exploded upward in a geyser. For a moment, there was only silence. Sentry floated above the ocean, eyes scanning the foam and flame. No resistance. He descended slowly, hovering above the blackened waves, now steaming from heat and fury. From the depths, Thor emerged, limping, soaked, wounded. His left arm hung limp. One eye was swollen shut, yet he rose from the water, pulling strength not from his godhood, but his heart. The storm rumbled overhead, not summoned, but weeping for its master. He raised his fist. No weapon, just will. Sentry landed before him, a figure of perfection marred by madness. Thor punched. Sentry caught the blow midair. Then he broke Thor's arm. A crack echoed like distant thunder. Thor dropped to his knees. Sentry placed a glowing hand against his chest. "I could erase you," he whispered, "but there is no glory in annihilating a relic." The void surged in his veins. It wanted more. It wanted finality. But Sentry resisted. With a gentle pulse of power, he sent Thor flying backward, landing unconscious on a shattered piece of coastline. Not dead, but defeated. The skies cleared, the clouds dispersed, the storm broken. Sentry turned skyward, ascending again. The light around him dimmed, his form stabilizing. He had won, but victory brought no peace. The void lingered behind his eyes, and Earth now feared him more than ever. The world recovered in silence. No press conferences, no celebrations. Thor lay in the healing halls of Asgard, tended by air and watched over by Frigga's spirit. He would live, but his legend now carried a scar. Sentry vanished from the skies. Not seen, not heard, merely felt like a sun always just behind clouds. His name no longer spoken, only feared. He had won the battle, but the war between Sentry and the Void was far from over. For now, Earth was safe, but gods knew better than to rest. They knew true power does not sleep. It waits,